So right now, the Washington Capitals are defying the odds. As I'm recording this video, they're currently sitting first in the entire league with a 34-11-5 record. If you told me at the beginning of the season the Washington Capitals would be first in the entire league, I would have said you're a liar. There's no way this aging Washington Capitals team is going to be first in the entire league. But you know what? They had a lot of great young pieces. I was sleeping on Protas. I was sleeping on Connor McMichael. Alexander Ovechkin's back to his prime self. Well, maybe not his prime self, but he's looking incredible this season. And then you have two amazing goaltenders. Logan Thompson's holding it down. He just secured his bag. And St. Louis Blues legend Charlie Lindgren. And with the team that the Washington Capitals have, they've been dominating the NHL, and that's why they're first in the entire league. So we're going to bring it all the way back to NHL 15. And we're going to rebuild this Washington Capitals team throughout the years, but also throughout the NHL games. I'm going to take over the Washington Capitals in NHL 15. I'm going to make a handful of trades with this team. And then our team at the end of the season is going to be carried over into NHL 16. And then our team at the end of NHL 16 is going to be carried over into NHL 17, so on and so forth. Now, of course, we have some amazing pieces here in NHL 15. Of course, Alexander Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Kuznetsov. These are just a handful of pieces that we're going to want to hold on to. Now, a guy like Joel Ward, obviously in NHL 25, he's no longer in the game. He's retired at this point. However, in NHL 15, he might have a decent amount of trade value. So we might try to trade Joel Ward away for a younger player who has more potential, who's going to be a stud for us in NHL 25. There's a lot of things we could potentially do here. But you know what? Let's just take it one step at a time, and let's go ahead and make our first trade. Now, the very first thing we have to do is figure out what our first trade is going to be. Like, we're back in the 2014-2015 season, very different than the 24-25 season. There's a handful of players on this current Washington Capitals team that aren't even in the league anymore. So while I try to figure out what our first trade is going to be, if you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 75k, and if you're watching the content, you clearly enjoy it, so you might as well subscribe to the channel. Also, we have stick on the ice legend Andre Burakovsky here. You'll love to see it. Alright, now I think this deal could potentially work out for us. Chimera and Connor Carrick sent over to the Tampa Bay Lightning. We get this guy named Braden Point. He only has top 9 potential, so he's not going to turn into anything. We get Nikita Kucherov. Like, I think he can play some good bottom 6 minutes. I don't expect him to turn into a superstar or anything. And then we get Morrow. The main reason we're taking on Morrow in this deal is we do have to be competitive for this season, and if we're going to be losing Chimera, we need to bring in somebody to replace him. Now, on top of picking up all these assets right here, I think we might be able to get a pick or two. So is it possible for us to walk away with a 2015 third round pick in this deal as well? Yes, it is. So Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov, Morrow, and a third round pick. Don't mind if I do. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. Joel Ward sent over to the Ottawa Senators, and we bring in Mika Zibanejad. Eventually, Nikita Kucherov's going to play some top 6 minutes. That's if he develops for us. Like, you never know. Maybe Nikita Kucherov's not going to turn to a good player. This is back in NHL 15. We don't know what the future is going to hold for us. But Joel Ward and 2 third round picks sent over to the Ottawa Senators for Mika Zibanejad. We're going to get a lot younger in this deal. We're still getting a really good player. They're saying it's a little bit low for them, so another third round pick will make the difference. So I'll throw in a third round pick from the Washington Capitals. So Joel Ward and 3 third rounders for Mika Zibanejad. I like that deal right there. Alright, we could be cooking something up here. Lock for Tarasenko. Now, if we can get Tarasenko in this deal, we're robbing the St. Louis Blues. Like, we would be finessing them so incredibly bad here. I'll throw in a second round pick as well. Nah, give me Tarasenko. St. Louis, y'all don't know what you're doing. So with all the moves we made, clearly this team's in a better spot for the future. Bringing in guys like Tarasenko, Zibanejad, Kucherov, Braden Point, like, that's 4 superstars right there. Marcus Johansson, you're going to be a good piece for the future as long as we can re-sign you. Backstrom, Ovechkin, like, this team's going to be incredible in the future. When it comes to the defense, we're definitely going to have to work on that. We have to find a way to get rid of that Brooks Orpik contract. I tried to trade him away and I offered him to multiple teams, but nobody wanted to take on that contract, so we're going to have to figure something out. Dmitry Orlov, you're going to be a good piece for us in the future. And then when it comes to goaltending, eventually we are going to have to find our future goaltender, but until then, Braden Holtby, you can certainly be the guy for us. I mean, Braden Holtby can probably be the guy for 4 solid years, but after that, we are going to have to find a different goaltender. So with all that being said, it's time to simulate season number 1 here. We're not able to re-sign any players until the end of the season. We have to wait until the re-sign phase for that, so we got nothing else to do other than simulate. Now, I knew this Washington Capitals team wasn't the greatest in the world, but I did expect us to be better than this. 12th in the entire league, a 44-31-7 record. We're going to have ourselves a tough matchup in the first round. Of course, we have the rivals in the Pittsburgh Penguins. Are we really surprised we're seeing the Pittsburgh Penguins this early in the video? Absolutely not. Alexander Ovechkin, 42 goals, 34 helpers, 76 points, not even a point a game here. We didn't have a single point a game player on the team. Marcus Johansson, not gonna lie, you were a massive letdown here, only 45 points. You, Nick Backstrom, and Ovi were all on the same line, but somehow you picked up significantly less points than those 2 guys. Not really too sure how that works. When it comes to goaltending, what was Braden Holtby up to this season? Well, he wasn't up to too much watch, a 25-20-1 record, a 256 and a 911. I'm not really liking those numbers. Holtby, I was kind of hoping you'd do a bit more than that. As I mentioned, we're taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round, so nothing's going to be easy for Washington here. Well, that's just absolutely incredible. I love when the recording is just paused. Yeah, we got absolutely dominated. Luckily, we won 2 games, so we did avoid the sweep here. We're falling in a 6-game series. Pittsburgh basically dominated this entire series. We didn't put up much of a fight. But yeah, I am very upset the recording was paused there. Like, we're in year number 1 and it's already paused. Normally, this doesn't happen until year 6 or 7. But nope, year number 1, we're off to a great start. So making that trade with the Tampa Bay Lightning clearly wasn't the right decision because Tampa's going to go on to win the Stanley Cup. However, they're not going to be able to win that many Stanley Cups in the future. We have Nikita Kucherov and we have Braden Point. When it comes to our postseason scoring, we really didn't score that many goals, and half of them came from Alexander Ovechkin. So yeah, that basically sums everything up here. I mean, almost half of them did come from Ovi. We scored 10 goals in the postseason, and 4 of them came from Alexander Ovechkin. So yeah, not great by any means here. We know for a fact the goaltending numbers aren't going to look good. Braden Holtby, you did have a 923 though, so I mean, I guess that's not too bad. And you had a 219. So when you really think about it, I guess your numbers weren't that bad. But this team just wasn't good. So as I mentioned earlier, we're not able to re-sign players before we get to the re-sign phase. So that means we have to find money for Vladimir Tarasenko, Mike Green, Marcus Johansson, Mika Zibanejad, Kuznetsov. There's a lot of guys here that need their deals. So we're going to start with Vladimir Tarasenko. And what's he going to be looking for here? Well, it's going to be a 3-year deal with probably around $6 million. I guess that's not too bad. You know what? We'll go a bit less than that. How about 5.7 for the next 3? Moving on over to Mike Green, it's going to be 5.3 for the next 3 years. So that's going to be another good deal for him. I'm not going to lie, Mika Zibanejad, I want to lock you down to an 8-year deal. So that's what we're going to do here. It's going to be 3.4 for the next 8. And we know that contract's going to age really well for us. Kuznetsov, I'm going to do a similar deal, except it's only going to be 6 seasons and it's only going to be $2.2 million for the next 6. So with all that money handed out, we only have enough money for one more player, Braden Holtby. It's going to be 3.865 for the next 3 years. I need you to accept that contract. If you don't accept that contract, I'm not really too sure what we're going to do here. We'll qualify Marcus Johansson as an RFA, but yeah, we're not going to have enough money to re-sign everybody, but luckily we are keeping Braden Holtby around. So Marcus Johansson, you'll be qualified as an RFA, and then we'll trade you away in NHL 16. Mitchell, I'm not going to worry about you. Jay Beagle, you're going to be walking here. We're not really going to be losing too many important pieces, so I'm okay with what we've done here. But that's all the main moves we have to worry about for NHL 15, so it's time for us to move on to NHL 16 and hopefully have a better season. Now, it's safe to say the Washington Capitals are showing a ton of potential. Nick Backstrom, Vladimir Tarasenko, Alexander Ovechkin on the top line, Troy Brouwer, Mika Zibanejad, Kucherov on the second line. The bottom 6 is in a pretty solid spot here. However, we do need a 4th line centerman. When it comes to the defense, Matt Niskanen, John Carlson, Mike Green, Carl Alzner. Alzner might get traded here. I don't know how many great years he has left. Probably a couple, but you know what? I want to capitalize on his trade value sooner than later. And we're also going to have to free up some money here. Braden Holtby, 91 overall. We have you locked down to a really good contract. However, we do have to free up some money pretty quick here. Nikita Kucherov is going to need a deal. And then after we give him his massive contract, I'm not too sure how we're going to be able to afford everybody. Alright, I really want to get rid of that Brooks Orpik contract. We're going to have to include a little bit more in this deal. So maybe Brooks Orpik and a 2016 7th round pick for Connor Murphy is going to be a fair deal. I'm going to offer this over. They're saying we're quite far off in value based on what we're offering. We're not that far off. So maybe a 3rd rounder could be the difference. I'm going to offer this over. We're a little bit off here. I'll include a 7th rounder and we should be able to get this one done. So if we can just ditch the Brooks Orpik money, we're going to be in a much better spot here. We're still a little bit off. I have to remember the lucrative 7th round pick isn't a thing in NHL 16 here. So a 3rd and 4th rounder will probably be the difference, and it looks like it will be. Connor Murphy, welcome to the Washington Capitals. And when it comes to Brooks Orpik, have fun in Arizona. You won't be there too long. Alright, so here's the next deal I'm looking at. Mike Green, I know we just re-signed to the team. However, John Klingberg would be under contract for the next 7 seasons. He's $1 million cheaper. In the future, this is definitely going to work out for us for how John Klingberg progresses. Nichushkin, you'd also be a nice addition to add here. So I'm going to offer this over. They're saying no. There is one really valuable player we have here, and that's Bowie. And you know what? Maybe we hold on to Mike Green, just use him in a different deal. So if I were to offer this package over to Dallas, I feel like they'd be willing to accept it. So let's see if we can get a 2nd rounder as well. Like if we can walk away with Klingberg, Nichushkin, a 2nd and 3rd round pick, we're definitely winning this deal. They're going to be saying no to that. I'll take the 3rd rounder out. Can we at least get a 2nd? They're saying no to this. Can I get Klingberg and Nichushkin? Yes, we can. Alright, that's a massive deal right there. But now it's time for us to trade one of our defensemen. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. Matt Niskanen is going to be traded over to the Minnesota Wild. We bring in Jonas Brodin, $4.1 million for the next 6 seasons. We also get Eric Hall, $1 million for the next 2. We're going to be a little short in this deal, but by picking up Jonas Brodin, we're freeing up $1 million. Then we'll trade Mike Green away, and that's going to free up another $1 million. So we'll throw a 5th and 6th 6th rounder in this deal. I mean, truthfully, if we can't get Eric Holla, it's not the end of the world here. So how about we just take him out? We're going to do Niskanen straight up for Brodin. We're going to free up some money here, and then we're going to flip Mike Green somewhere else and free up a bit more. All right, so this is what I'm thinking here. We trade Mike Green away just to free up the money. We're going to bring in Helm for this one season. He'll be a bottom 6 centerman for us, but he's probably not a part of this team's future. You know who will be though? Tyler Bertuzzi. So we bring in a young Tyler Bertuzzi here for Mike Green. We send him over to the Red Wings where he's really supposed to be here. I think this is a good deal for both teams. We get a bottom 6 centerman that we desperately need. Detroit picks up a good defenseman in this deal. We bring in Helm, we bring in Bertuzzi. I think this works for everybody. I think this is a good win-win trade. So after making the trades we did, I think this team's certainly in a better spot here. The first line's going to be looking the same, and so is the second line, except Andre Burakovsky's actually going to play on the second line over Troy Bauer. Darren Helm, the Nichushkin's going to man that third line. Then on the fourth line, we're going to see Kuznetsov and Tom Wilson. So there's a lot of promise for this team's future. When it comes to the defense, Carl Alsner, John Carlson, John Klingberg, Jonas Brodin, Dmitry Orlov, all of these pieces are looking amazing. And then when it comes to goaltending, you already know we're rocking Brain Holtby, 91 overall. We have one of the best goaltenders in the league. We have the best forward core, the best defense. Nobody's going to be able to stop us except the simulation. Because yeah, the simulation always ruins everything. Now this is what I've been looking for. The Washington Capitals, third in the entire league, a 51-24-7 record. This team's locked in right now. And with this team being locked in, I'm very surprised at who's leading us in scoring here. Vladimir Tarasenko, okay, he's tied with Alexander Ovechkin. I was going to say Tarasenko ahead of Ovechkin just doesn't make sense. Then again, Tarasenko had more goals than Ovi. What kind of universe are we living in where Ovi's picking up more assists than goals? It doesn't seem right. Backstrom 72 points, Zibanejad 58, Kucherov 54. We're going to be keeping everybody around here, and we're going to be going on a deep run. Not only this season, but every season after this. Brain Holtby, you were an absolute beast this season. A 220 with a 926, 42 wins. How many shutouts did you have? I don't even know where shutouts are. He had 3 shutouts. So Brain Holtby, an amazing season from him. We're taking on the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round. We have to have a massive bounce back from last postseason. And look at me triple checking to make sure that the recording's actually going and it's not paused. That's called progress right there. And you know what else is progress? Taking the Philadelphia Flyers down to sweep. We really lost game number 4. We couldn't just sweep the Philadelphia Flyers. We really had to go to 5 games. You know what? We'll still take it. Now we saw ourselves a huge upset in the first round. The Columbus Blue Jackets taking down the New York Rangers, so we don't have to worry about matching up against New York, but Columbus is going to be no joke if they're taking down the Rangers. Like, the Rangers were the second best team in the league, so if Columbus is taking them down, then the Columbus Blue Jackets must have something going for them. Did we just take them out in a sweep? No, we have a 3-1 series lead though. Why did this have to go to 5 games? Why couldn't we just take them out in a sweep? Now, Brain Holtby's actually been incredible so far in the postseason. Got to give a shout to him. So we beat Columbus and we're moving on to the conference finals. Now all we have to do is beat the Detroit Red Wings and we'll be in the Stanley Cup final. Detroit's been no joke so far, but I'm not too sure if they can compete with the Washington Capitals. Like, Washington's just been on an absolute roll so far. Nobody's been able to compete with them, and it looks like the Detroit Red Wings can't compete either. We are absolutely dominating, and the defense has been spectacular up until game number 5 and game number 6. Okay, we are off to game 7. Please do not fold in game 7. We're going to sim game 7, and we got ourselves simcast here. We're simulating the first period. We're picking up 2 goals. Detroit's going to respond the second. The third period is going to be a big one. Can we play some elite defense and steal this game? We really allowed back-to-back goals and lost. Sheahan and Albuquerque are going to be picking up 2 straight goals, and we're falling. We really lost to a goal scored in the final 46 seconds. That really just happened. The Washington Capitals were absolutely cruising through the postseason, and then 3 straight losses is knocking us out. Nah, ain't no way. Now, Detroit, if you're going to make a 3-1 series comeback and beat us in the postseason, you better win the Stanley Cup. You're falling to the Anaheim Ducks. What are you doing? You're just making us look bad. When it comes to postseason scoring, this is the Ovechkin I was looking for during the regular season. 24 points, 11 goals, 13 helpers. Tarasenko, 18 points. Backstrom, 17. Kuznetsov, 16. Brodin, Kucherov, Zibanejad. The team's looking great. And with a lot of these guys returning next season, I can only assume we're going to be even better. Braden Holtby, your numbers were incredible in the postseason. A goals against of just above 2 here. And your save percentage at 935. There's not too much more you could have done. You were virtually perfect. We just collapsed at the worst time. Now, I'm not too sure how we're going to keep everybody, but starting off with a deal like this from Nikita Kucherov is definitely a great start. 4.5 for the next 3 years. Darren Helm, you're going to be walking here. Nichushkin, of course, we're going to bring you back to the team, and that's going to be an 8-year deal. We're going to do 2.7 for the next 8 with him. That's going to be an incredible deal. Tom Wilson's going to be another guy that we have to bring back to the team here. We're going to do a fairly similar deal. It's actually going to be the exact same as Nichushkin's. It's going to be 2.7 for the next 8. And then when it comes to Dmitry Orlov, once again, another 8-year deal. This one's going to be 1.3 million for the next 8. everybody's sticking around on this team. So after signing those players, it actually turns out we still have $12 million in cap space. So yeah, Darren Helm, how about you just come back to the team for one more season? We'll do $2.6 million for the next 3. And on top of Darren Helm, Connor Murphy, you know what? You can play some good third pairing minutes for me. So I'll do 3 years at $1.5 million. So 2 more great pieces are going to be brought back to the team. Troy Bauer, we're going to have you walk. I'm not too sure if Brain Point's going to be jumping into the lineup next season or not. If he is, that would be ideal. If not, we'll make a trade or two. Turns out we actually have to give Connor Murphy a little more money here, so we're going to do 1.7 for the next 3 years. Even though we have to pay him a bit more, it's still going to work out for us. So with Connor Murphy signing that deal right here, no more moves have to be made. Let's move on to NHL 17, and let's actually win a Stanley Cup this time. We're not blowing any more 3-1 series leads. That 3-1 series lead we blew to the Detroit Red Wings, it's never happening again. Now you might be looking at this Washington Capitals team right here, and you might be wondering one thing. Where is Nichushkin? Did we trade Nichushkin away? Was he lost? Well, he actually went to the KHL for 2 years. So yeah, we're not going to have Nichushkin for the next 2 seasons. That's a tough one, I'm not going to lie. So that means Verana and Tower Bertuzzi are going to be jumping into the lineup here, and clearly we can't be doing that. We can't have those 2 guys in the lineup. They're not ready for the NHL quite yet. When it comes to the defense, that's an amazing spot here. And then when it comes to goaltending, that's in an even better spot with 92 overall. Brain Hopi leading the way. We have Drew Bauer backing him up at 78 overall. We have all the potential in the world here, but we do have to improve that 4th line because right now it's not looking too good. Now, I'm not going to lie. We made a massive mistake. And what was that massive mistake? Not trading Andre Burakovsky last season. Like, this man had a ridiculous amount of trade value. Now it's probably half of what it used to be. Him and Verana are probably going to get shipped out here. They have really high trade values, and as we know, they don't turn to those super players. Bowie, he's still in the Washington Capitals, so yeah, let me send him over to Dallas, because that's where he's supposed to be. I completely forgot to ship this man out. So what we'll do with Dallas is they just give us a 2022 7th round pick for Bowie. So yeah, there you go, Dallas. You get the guy that you originally should have. So Verana sent over to the San Jose Sharks for Tomas Hertl and a 2nd round pick. Yeah, this is an absolute no-brainer. We are definitely doing this deal right here. I don't even care so much about the picks. I just really want to get Tomas Hertl. Like, Veranda for Tomas Hertl. Imagine doing that deal in the big 2025. No, that would be wild. We're going 1 for 1 here. Tomas Hertl, welcome to the team. Alright, so Carl Alsner, you're on the final year of your contract, and I'm not going to bring you back to the team. It just wouldn't make sense. David Pastrnak, on the other hand, that would make a lot of sense. We bring in Frank Vatrano as well. He's under contract for the next 2 years. Pass is going to have to be re-signed. But yeah, this is a really good deal for us. And it actually works out because there was one player on the Anaheim Ducks that I wanted to bring to the team. His name was Shea Theodore. So yeah, Burakovsky, I'll probably trade you away here and we'll bring Shea Theodore in. He'll be a really good defenseman in the future for us, and he's not going to cost too much. He's an 80 overall, 21 years old. We're going to be re-signing him pretty soon. That's definitely a deal I can work with here. So we're probably going to go 1 for 1 here. It's going to be Andre Burakovsky straight up for Shea Theodore. We should be able to get this done, and it looks like we're going to be able to. Alright, so we're making one more deal here because this one's just an absolute no-brainer. Helm and a 3rd round pick sent over to Winnipeg. We get Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey. Now, I'm not too sure if these guys are going to turn into anything, but if they do, it could be a good deal for us. Like Kyle Connor, I'm not too familiar with your game. Like, are you a great player in the year 2025? Same with Josh Morrissey. We might be getting completely finessed here, but it also might work out for us. They're not really interested in what we're sending over. What else could you possibly want? Do we have any good prospects we could trade away here? Zach Sanford. Yeah, that would make things easy. But you know what? I don't think we're going to need Zach Sanford in this deal. Instead, we're going to throw in this prospect right here who has AHL top 2 potential, and he's the difference maker. Nah, that's crazy. Alright, so here's what we're looking at. There was a couple changes, but they were definitely for the betterment of the team. Tomas Hertl was brought in. Kyle Connor was brought in. Frank Vatrano is going to play some good bottom 6 minutes. Eventually, he'll probably be traded in the future. The defense is looking spectacular. Josh Morrissey's joined the team. We got Shea Theodore as a healthy scratch. And then when it comes to goaltending, Brain Hopi, you're still the guy here, and you will be for the near future. So the new look Washington Capitals are an absolute powerhouse, and considering this team's just going to keep on getting better, no one's going to be able to stop us. A 57-23-2 record. We had the best offense in the entire game, or at least I thought we did. We actually had the 2nd best offense. Boston's was better than us. However, our defense, nobody can compete with us. 168 goals allowed. Our goals allowed was just above 2. We're in a league of our own right now. And who's going to be leading the team? Of course, it's Alexander Ovechkin. 98 points, 45 goals, 53 assists. Vladimir Tarasenko is actually going to pick up more goals. He has 46 goals, 40 assists for 86 points. Backstrom 86. Klingberg, what a great pickup that was. He's picking up 52 points. This team was absolutely absolutely locked in this season, no weaknesses whatsoever. And then when it comes to goaltending, Braden Holtby, he's going to be picking up an assist this season. 11 shutouts, a 934. Did he have a goals against below 2? A 187. There is no way we lose this season. If we lose, it's the biggest collapse in history. We're taking on the Islanders. There's literally no excuses. Like, I'm sorry, but there is literally zero excuses for us to lose. We're dropping game number 2. Not the greatest sign in the world. Let's at least take a 3-1 series lead. We'll win game number 4, and then we'll be in a good spot here. A 7-3 victory. Offensively, no one's been able to compete with us. We are scoring goals like crazy, and we're playing amazing defense. So we got ourselves an old classic rivalry match of the Washington Capitals taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I've been waiting for this moment. We got ourselves a matchup of two amazing teams here, but I think the Washington Capitals are a little bit better. 3 shutouts from Braden Holtby so far. Can he pick up another one? It doesn't look like it. We've actually dropped back-to-back games here, but we're not going to lose 3 in a row. I know for a fact we're responding in game 5. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Like, I'm sorry, but we can't lose 4 straight games. No way the Washington Capitals are losing 4 straight. We're going to be exchanging goals in the first period. One of them's coming from Ovi, the other's coming from Patrick Hornquist. In the second period, it's going to be scoreless. Don't lose. Whatever you do, don't lose this game. We're picking up 3 unanswered goals. 3 goals in the final 2 minutes. We're staying alive. Now, although we're the best team, and there really shouldn't be anyone who can compete with us, I'm still nervous heading into this matchup. It's tied entering the third period. Why do I feel like Crosby's going to score the game winner? Okay, never mind. 4 unanswered in the third period. That's what I needed. 6 goals from the Washington Capitals. We're back in the conference finals. So we've made to the conference finals. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning up next. We barely got past the Pittsburgh Penguins, so we better be great in the first 4 games. We can't be split in the series with Tampa. So win the first 4 games and we'll be in a great spot. We've dropped 2 of the first 3. That's definitely not ideal. We're down 3-1. That's even worse. So we're down 3-1 the series. We got to make a big comeback, and it starts right here. We're stealing game number 5 away. Now we got to win game 6. Who scored in that game? Doesn't really matter. We got to win 3 unanswered. Braden Holtby's picking up another shutout. That's going to be his 4th of the postseason. Nah, bro has really been the difference maker. Without Braden Holtby, there's no chance we win this series. We're winning game number 6, so it all comes down to game 7. So we got game 7, Tampa Bay versus Washington. Whoever wins this game is going to win the series. We split the game so far entering the third period. Ryan Callahan, Vladimir Tarasenko. Who's going to be the third period hero? Not us. Filppula and Ryan Callahan are going to be both picking up goals in the third period. We're going to be falling in the conference finals yet again. Why can't Washington close it out? Like, why did we have to fall to a 3-1 series deficit? If we don't fall to a 3-1 series deficit, we've easily won this series. But once again, we're folding when the lights are the brightest. So the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. They're taking down the LA Kings. It was a terrible loss for the Washington Capitals. I really thought this team was going to win a Stanley Cup. I thought we had all the right pieces here, but apparently not. Tarasenko, I guess you could have picked up some more goals here. Ovechkin, you were basically perfect. Tomas Hertl, you being -12, certainly hurt the team here. And then when it comes to goaltending, Braden Holtby, I can't put any of this on you. 4 shutouts, a 919. What was your goals against? A 237. You were as good as you possibly could have been. We just didn't perform. Okay, so we're entering the re-sign phase, but you know what? There's something way more important than the re-sign phase. So in videos like this, I don't do the drafting, because if I did drafting, it would get incredibly complicated. But this is one player that we just happened to draft. The CPU did this for me. The CPU drafted Robert Thomas, who they gave medium AHL top 6 potential. Excuse me? You did not give Robert Thomas AHL top 6 potential. No, that is disrespectful. But the fact that somehow, even in a video like this, where I'm not even controlling the drafting, we walk away with Robert Thomas. So yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, the reason I don't do drafting in this video is we drafted Robert Thomas. That means the St. Louis Blues don't get Robert Thomas, meaning they draft somebody else. So that completely changes every draft pick in the future, and boy, could it become incredibly complicated. But with that being said, there are some extensions that have to be given out. One of them is David Pastrnak. And David Pastrnak, were you even in the lineup for us? I don't think you were, but you are up to an 85 overall. You're looking for 4.2 million. We have a lot of cap space. So what if we did an 8-year deal? We do an 8-year deal at 4.6. I'll do an 8-year deal at 4.5. So Pass is going to be sticking around. That's an absolute no-brainer. And that's really the only extension we have to worry about. I mean, Chandler Stevenson, what are you looking for? Like, if we did an 8-year deal at 800K, that works for me. Same with Nate Schmidt. I mean, we can keep Nate Schmidt around. We could do an 8-year deal with him as well. I'll do 8 years at 700K. So Nate Schmidt, Chandler Stevenson, David Pastrnak, welcome back to the team. I mean, there is Grubauer as well. So what if we do a 7-year deal at 1.1 million? Actually, let's make that a 6-year deal at 1.1, because eventually Grubauer is going to completely fall off. But until he does, he could be a serviceable backup for us. So everyone's going to be accepting their contracts, And with that being said, it's time for us to move on to NHL 18 and hopefully finally win a Stanley Cup, because we have the talent here. For some reason, we just can't see the success. Now, just looking at the overalls here, you might be thinking in NHL 18 we're actually worse than NHL 17, but if I remember correctly, they did do something with the ratings where they basically just recalculated everything and they had ratings weighted different, and that's why the overalls are a little bit lower. So Tom Wilson's down to a 79 overall, Frank Vatrano's down to a 77. We don't have to worry about any of this. We still have a lot of elite players on this team. These players are going to keep on getting better. However, there are a handful of guys who are on expiring deals, so we might have to make a couple trades here. It's not we might have to, we definitely have to. However, there is one thing that is going to make this significantly easier. We can finally give out contract extensions, so we have an idea of what people are going to be wanting. So Vladimir Tarasenko, 8.1 for the next 5 years. How many good years do you truly have left? Like, if we re-sign you to a 5-year deal, more than likely we would probably trade you in either year number 3 or year number 4. You're probably going to be around an 88 overall by that time. So you're definitely one guy we're going to consider bringing back. John Carlson, I'd like to keep you for the rest of this rebuild. And if we do an 8-year deal, we're going to get you incredibly cheap. So we're going to do an 8-year deal with John Carlson. It's going to be 5.3 for the next 8. That's a no-brainer. Tomas Hertl, I'm kind of hoping we can sign you for fairly cheap. It doesn't look like it's going to be as cheap as I thought it would be. You're going to be in the $5 million range. I know you turned to a really good player, but are you going to be good enough? Josh Morrissey, you're an 81 overall and you're wanting $4.5 million. That's a bit expensive. I know you turned to a really good player later in the future, but I don't know if I can commit that much money to you right now. Like Shea Theodore and you are going to be pretty similar overalls in the future, but even Shea Theodore's wanting $5.3 million. I don't know if we can do that. So we actually might be making way more trades than I thought we'd be making. Then when it comes to goaltending, Braden Holtby, where are you going to be looking for here? $6.3 million. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm actually going to trade you away this season. We're going to get a young goaltender who's going to turn out to be a superstar, and that guy could be Andre Vasilevsky. All right, we might have something here. Braden Holtby over to the Calgary Flames for Matthew Tkachuk, a first rounder, and David Rittich. The only reason we're taking on David Rittich is so we can make the rosters work here, but I really want to get Matthew Tkachuk. Now they're saying no. If I don't ask for that first rounder and just ask for a couple other picks, I think we can do this. I think this is a very possible deal to get done. I'm sending it over. They're saying no. I'll take the 4th rounder out. Where are they thinking? They're still saying it's too much. I'll take the 3rd rounder out. They're saying it's a little bit low. I value that 2nd round pick, so I'm willing to give you a 3rd rounder for it. I'm going to offer this package for Matthew Tkachuk. It's a little bit low. How much do we care about that 2nd round pick? We don't care enough for it to be the difference in this deal, so give me a 3rd and 4th rounder. Matthew Tkachuk, welcome to the team. We got to go get a goaltender, and that goaltender is going to be Freddie Anderson. So what we're going to do, it's going to be Vladimir Tarasenko, a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounder sent over to Toronto. We're bringing in William Nylander, and we're going to be bringing in Freddie Anderson. They're saying this isn't enough. Do I have to give you a 1st rounder? Because if I have to give you a 1st rounder, I'm willing to do so, but I'd prefer not to. Maybe we just give up Shea Theodore in this deal. Like, Shea Theodore, are we actually going to be able to afford you in the future? I don't think so. So I'll throw you into this deal. They're still saying no. I'll give you a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. That's basically the most we can do. So this is basically the best package we can offer over to Toronto. They're saying it's not going to be enough here. Maybe we do have to give them that 1st round pick. So here's our 1st round pick. Is this going to be enough? They're saying it's a little bit low. We're going to get this done. So William Nylander is going to be joining the team. Freddie Anderson's going to be joining the team. They need Calgary's 4th round pick. That's really going to be the difference in this deal. But you know what? If we get this done, it's going to be a game changer for us. That was a massive deal to pull off. Like, William Nylander is going to be an absolute superstar, so locking him down for the next 8 years at this price is certainly going to be worth it. So it's going to be 6.5 for the next 8 years for William Nylander. That's an absolutely incredible deal. So Tomas Hertl, Josh Morrissey, you could be a couple pieces that we're going to lose here. So we're going to pull off one more deal here because we know we're not going to bring Tomas Hertl back, and we know we're not going to bring Josh Morrissey back just because we won't have enough money. We're going to get 2 guys on multi-year deals. One of them is Alex DeBrincat, locked down for the next 3 on his entry-level contract. We're also going to bring in Forsling, and Forsling's definitely a guy we're going to be able to re-sign for cheap in the future. So Forsling and DeBrincat are both going to be joining the team. We're giving up more than we have to in this deal. So is there any other player that turns into an absolute superstar in the future that we're passing up on? Like, if we can get some player that would be an absolute steal for us in the future, I'll definitely bring him to the team, but it doesn't look like that's the case. I guess you can give me a draft pick here. I'll take a 3rd rounder, but really I don't really care about that 3rd round pick. I just want to get those 2 players. So although we might not be looking like a super team right now because of the rating change, I know for a fact this team's going to be great in the future. Like Matthew Tkachuk, William Nylander, Alexander Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, Kucherov. Look at all the star players on this team. We're going to be really good in the future, but we're also a really good team right now. Like, don't sleep on us. This is a very good NHL team. We got Freddie Anderson as the starting goaltender, Grubauer as the backup. Both of these guys are locked down to incredible deals. So not only do we have a really good team here, but we're going to be able to afford to bring everyone back. I don't think there's anyone else that needs an extension here. I think we got everyone locked down. Like, John Carlson's sticking around, William Nylander's sticking sticking around. I guess Frank Vatrano, we could give you a deal. And you know what? There's actually another player besides Frank Vatrano that needs an extension. So Frank Vatrano will do 1.4 for the next 2 years. It's pretty expensive for a 77 overall. But Tower Bertuzzi, can't forget about you. You're still on this team. So if we did an 8-year deal with Tower Bertuzzi, we're looking at $975K. That's a good fourth line guy right there at a great price. Also, I never traded this player away, but I don't really think that's much of a difference. Like, he can stay in our system. I know we used him in one of our deals, but yeah, Brill only has high AHL top 2 potential. He's not turning into anything. Okay, now I'm actually really surprised on where we finished in the league. Like, we finished 6th with a 47-30-5 record. And the reason I'm surprised, with 30 games left in the season, we were like 3 or 4 games over 500. This team went on a massive winning streak. Like, we won 25 of our final 30 games or something. We didn't lose. Alexander Ovechkin, 89 points here. He was really good, 52 goals. Maybe trading away Tarasenko was the real difference maker. Pasta only picked up 48 points. I'm expecting more from him. John Klingberg, 45. John Carlson, 41. I think the defense was a weak point on this team. I don't think goaltending was quite as good. But then again, Freddie Anderson, 40 wins, 6 shots, and 918 to 221. I can't really expect too much more from you. We have the New Jersey Devils in the first round. I don't really care what happens as long as we win a Stanley Cup and we don't lose in the conference finals or the second round or the first round or the Stanley Cup final. I take it all back. I actually really care what happens here. You better win. So Washington, I made it very clear. You have to win. And that's exactly what you're doing right now. Absolutely dominating the New Jersey Devils. That's a great start. Now, I'm fairly confident we're probably going to see this team every year, the Pittsburgh Penguins. We know how to beat this team. We've done it in the past. Now we got to do it again. So Washington, you've won 4 games in a row. How about you win another 4 games? We've won 2 of the first 3. Let's take a 3-1 series lead here. That's what we're doing. We have to close it out. I don't want to blow a 3-1 series lead, and that's not what we're doing. You know what? We're just going to keep on going. I feel like this Washington Capitals team is just kind of rolling on all cylinders right now. We haven't been losing many games here. Can we take down the Columbus Blue Jackets? We might be able to sweep this team. We shut them out in back-to-back games. We have a 3-1 series lead. Close it out in Game 5, and you're in the Stanley Cup final. Here we go. Washington's finally made the Stanley Cup. This was one of the more questionable years for this team, but who cares? We're in the Stanley Cup final, and we got Calgary. Of course we have Calgary. Why am I not surprised? And we're going to lose to the Calgary Flames. Never mind. We have a 3-1 series lead. We almost swept this team. If Braden Holtby makes a 3-0 series comeback, I'm going to lose my mind. Braden Holtby is not making a 3-0 series comeback. 7 goals in game number 6 is going to be the difference maker. We're Stanley Cup champions. It took quite a long time, but the team's finally done it. Like, there were some questionable moments for this team, but you know what? Throughout the entire postseason, they were actually really good. Like, we went 16-4. Why was I questioning this team so much? 16-4 in the postseason. We dominated. From start to finish, we were incredible. Kucherov, 20 points. Ovi, 18 points, including 10 goals. Pastas picking up 10 goals. Backstrom, 15 points. Nylander, 14. John Carlson, 13. DeBrincat on the bottom 6 picking up 12 points. We were perfect. This team was virtually perfect. A 16-4 record for Freddie Anderson. 3 shots, a 932 and a 192. I can't expect any more from this team. They performed when they had to. They stepped up in the big time moments, and everyone's coming back next season. So let's move on to NHL 19. So Washington finally won a Stanley Cup. We can finally rejoice. However, one Stanley Cup's not enough here. We got to win multiple Stanley Cups. And with this team right here, we shouldn't have any issue winning multiple Stanley Cups. I think if we are going to do anything here, we're going to make one move to improve the defense. Other than that, the team's probably going to be staying the exact same. I like the core that we have here, but 1 or 2 changes could be necessary. We also have to re-sign some pieces, so yeah, let's see how that's going to work. Like Nikita Kucherov, Braden Point, Matthew Tkachuk, Kyle Connor, all of these guys need extensions. Luckily, we do have a bit of money right now, but Nikita Kucherov, I can't do a 1-year deal at $11.5 million. That would be all of our cap space, so Nikita Kucherov will probably be traded away here. Braden Point, what are you going to be looking for? $6.4 million. Are you going to be a top player for us? Like, are you going to fit in the top 6? I guess we'll have to decide on that one. Matthew Tkachuk, I definitely want to keep you around. $5.7 million. That's not too bad of a deal. I guess we really have to consider who's going to be our top 6 in the future. Like Kucherov, Point, Matthew Tkachuk, I could see you guys being top 6 players for us. Kyle Connor, I could see you being a top 6 player, but who do we have right now that won't be in the top 6 in the future? Like, let's be honest, Kuznetsov, are you going to be one of those players in the future for us? I'm not too sure. Zibanejad, more than likely you won't be. We're paying you $3.4 million. We could trade you away and just pick up a rookie or something. I mean, I want to keep Pastor around. That's $4.5 million. That's a pretty good deal. Nick Backstrom, do I trade you away? Like, let's be reasonable here. Nick Backstrom is eventually going going to decline quite a bit. Like, we know he's not in the current NHL 25, or I think he technically is, but he's like a 70 overall. So do we just trade him now while his trade value is at its highest? William Nylander, I want to keep you around. Braden Point, I would like to keep you around. I could see you playing on the top line eventually. Kuznetsov, we're really not paying that much, but then again, like, he's not going to be on this team for the future, so I think I'd rather keep Braden Point around. We got some difficult decisions to make here. Oh, we can trade for whoever we want. Look at these trade values. It does not matter who we want, we will get them. All right, so this is what I'm thinking. Kuznetsov and Backstrom over to the Edmonton Oilers. Now we're going to bring Leon Draisaitl in, and this is a little bit questionable because we are going to have to pay this man $8.5 million. However, in not too many years, 8.5 is going to be an absolute steal. We're also going to bring Evan Bouchard to the team, and ideally, we're going to sign him for like $2 million in the future, and then $2 million would be a really good deal for Bouchard. We're also going to get a first round pick in this deal. I think this is a really good deal. We have to cut the roster a little bit. We have too many elite players. Never thought I would say that, but that's kind of the situation we're in. So Ovi's going to be staying around for the rest of the rebuild. Nikita Kucherov, I'd like to keep you around for the rest of the rebuild. Leon Draisaitl, I want to keep you around. Matthew Tkachuk, David Pastrnak, and then probably William Nylander, I'm keeping you around as well. So right there, that's our top 6. Just based on that, Braden Point wasn't in that conversation. Kyle Connor wasn't in that conversation. DeBrincat wasn't in that conversation. Mika Zibanejad wasn't in that conversation. So with that being said, I think we trade Mika Zibanejad away here and try to pick somebody up on a long-term deal at a very cheap price. Alright, so the team's going to take a slight hit here. Mika Zibanejad and Kyle Connor are both going to leave the team. We're bringing in Tage Thompson. We're going to bring in Sam Reinhart. For the future, this is a really good move because next season, I know for a fact we're going to be able to re-sign Tage Thompson for a pretty cheap price, and we should be able to do the same thing with Sam Reinhart. We're going to get rid of Mika Zibanejad. Nothing against him, but when it comes to managing the salary cap, I think we just have to do this. I know for a fact we can't re-sign Kyle Connor. We're in an incredibly difficult spot because of how good of a team we've built. Alright, so this is what I think we're going to do, and this is going to be the final move. It's going to be Braden Point and one of the young players in the Washington Capitals over to the Islanders. We bring in Devon Taves. I know for a fact we'll be able to re-sign him for fairly cheap next season, and he's going to turn into an absolute superstar. We're bringing in Matt Barzal. Basically, the only reason for that is he's cheaper than Braden Point because of what his entry-level contract is. That's mainly the only reason we're making this deal. So not only did we free up money, but there's only 2 players that we have to re-sign here. Nikita Kucherov's one of them. I forgot I was going to trade Nikita Kucherov away because we can't afford him. The other guy we have to worry about is going to be Matthew Tkachuk here, but you know we can get a good deal done. We're going to do $5.1 million for the next 5 years. So after he accepts this, we're going to have $5 million to work with. Nikita Kucherov, we're not going to be able to keep you around for $5 million, so I guess we're going to have to trade you away. Then again, maybe that's not the end of the world because we trade Nikita Kucherov, and then maybe Matt Barzal just has a bigger role in the future. I mean, Sam Reinhart can have a bigger role. We have a lot of guys that can have bigger roles on this team. But Nikita Kucherov, don't worry. I already know where I'm trading you. So this is what the deal is going to be. It's going to be Kucherov and Jonas Brodin sent over to the Vancouver Canucks. We get Quinn Hughes and we get Bo Horvat. These are 2 great pieces for us. Both of them are on multi-year deals. Bo Horvat we're going to have for the next 5. Quinn Hughes we'll have for the next 3. I'm actually very surprised that this package isn't enough for those 2 players. But you know what? We did get a first round pick from the Edmonton Oilers, and that has quite a bit of value, so that's going to be the difference maker. So after trading all those pieces away, this is what the team's going to be looking like. I think it's in a really good spot. I do think we are worse than last season. I do think we've taken a step back. But when it comes to the salary cap situation, we're in a way better spot here. Bringing in a guy like Quinn Hughes, definitely a must for us. And we're going to be able to re-sign him for fairly cheap, so that's going to be a good deal in the future. Freddie Anderson, keep holding it down in between the pipes. Grubauer, be a great backup for us. I have incredibly high expectations for this team. But you know what? I know they can live up to those expectations. And let's just double check to make sure nobody else needs an extension. I mean, I guess Connor Murphy technically needs one, so yeah, what do you want? $4 million? I don't want to do $4 million. Forsling, on the other hand, I can give you an 8-year deal. So Forsling, how about we do $1.1 million for the next 8 years? That's a good enough deal for us. Now, you know what? You gotta give respect where respect is due. The greatest franchise of all time, first in the entire league, a 53-24-5 record. Wow, what a dominant team. I kind of wish that was the same St. Louis team I could watch now. But you know what? It's the way she goes. The boys are entering a rebuild. We're 6th in the entire league. St. Louis's future could look incredibly bright if we get a really good draft pick this season. Like, if a miracle happens and we somehow jump up to the first overall pick and bring Matthew Schaefer to the team, we would be absolutely cooking. We have so many elite forward prospects. The defense just has to be worked on. And then when it comes to goaltending, truthfully, I believe Joel Holford can be the future for us. But you know what? Let's not worry about the St. Louis Blues. We're rebuilding the Washington Capitals, and I'm yapping about the St. Louis Blues. This team was incredible this season, but can they go back to back? Can they step up at these important moments once again? We're going to find out pretty quick. We're taking on the Boston Bruins. Boston's been known to upset us, but not today. No, real talk. Only on the Stick on the Ice YouTube channel can you do a Washington Capitals rebuild, and somehow Robert Thomas and the St. Louis Blues get brought up multiple times. We are currently down 3-1 in the series. That wasn't really a part of the plan. Alright, so let's lock in here and try not to lose to the Boston Bruins. We're trailing after 1 period. We're trailing after 2 periods. We lost this game. We got shut out 3-0. That was not the plan. That was not the plan whatsoever, but it happened. Well, I guess the one thing I can say is we lost to the eventual Stanley Cup champs, but that was definitely not a good postseason for the team. We were trying to repeat here, and the entire team just looked bad. From top to bottom, everyone was bad here. Freddie Anderson, you were bad. Let's move on to NHL 20. So we're not going to talk about what happened in NHL 19. It was an absolute embarrassment, and yeah, we're just going to completely forget about it. The Washington Capitals team has a lot of potential, but we got to live up to that potential, and we haven't done that the past couple of years. However, things are going to turn around this season. Freddie Anderson, Grubauer, you guys are going to be two solid goaltenders for us. We're going on another deep run, and I can guarantee you this team's getting a Stanley Cup. Now, before we do anything here, we have extensions to give out, and we got to figure out how much people are looking for. Matt Barzal, what do you want? You want 7.8 million? I can't afford to do that. We don't have the cap space to do that, so more than likely it'll be traded away. Alex DeBrincat, it's going to be the same situation. I can't give you 7.7 million. Sam Reinhart, I'm hoping I can sign you for cheap, but you want 7.5 million. So everyone's looking for a bag here. The only guy we might be able to bring back will be Devon Taves, but even he's looking for a bag, so we probably won't be bringing him back as well. Like, bro, you are 25 years old and you're an 81 overall, and you're looking for how much? That doesn't even make sense. Tage Thompson, can I please bring you back? Yes, we can. And we're going to do 5 years for Tage Thompson at 1.45 million. So at least somebody's going to sign a reasonable deal. All right, so this is option number 2, and I think option number 2 might be a little bit better. John Klingberg and Matt Barzal for Roman Josi. We're going to try to get a bit more from the Nashville Predators in this deal, but I'm not really too sure who else I want. Like, we got to bring in a cheap player that's not going to hurt the cap too much. Maybe that could be Matthias Ekholm. We'd be over the salary cap there. We need someone with a lot of potential. I guess that could be Tolvanen. So we'll do Matt Barzal and Klingberg for Roman Josi and Tolvanen. I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no. I'll give you a first round pick. Tolvanen will be flipped in this game because this is the game his trade value is the highest. They're saying no to this package along with the first rounder, but what if I throw a third rounder in the deal? They're still saying it's a little bit off. I'll give you a second rounder instead of that third. Please be enough. We're finally getting this one done. Roman Josi, welcome to the team. Now we got to re-sign him. Or at least I thought we had to re-sign him. Nope, he's already signed an extension. So Roman Josi's sticking around. It's going to be $9 million for the rest of this rebuild. That's actually a pretty solid deal for Roman Josi. A bit expensive, but you know what? We'll make some more moves here. Okay, Stick on the Ice is a massive clown, and I have no clue how I didn't notice until now. But Connor Murphy, your contract expired, and I let you walk into free agency. Like, you're no longer on this team. But yet, I accidentally put you back on the Washington Capitals, and we're paying you $3.8 million. So Anaheim, you are interested in Connor Murphy. I will give you him for a 7th round pick. I'm not going to use that 7th round pick. You know what? Actually, just give me a player that you don't even want. So what I'll do is I'll take this AHL player and I'll give you Connor Murphy. You're interested in Connor Murphy, you can have Connor Murphy, but basically that's the equivalent of us ditching him into free agency. Yeah, I didn't mean to put him back on this team. I accidentally did. I have a little spreadsheet of all the players I've traded for and who should be on this team, and for some reason I still had Connor Murphy on our team. So yeah, let's get rid of him, and then that frees up some cap space that we should have had. So now that Connor Murphy's off the team, we have a little bit more money. Not much more money, but it frees up a little bit. Well, I guess it was only a matter of time before we picked up these guys. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Barbashev, all of you guys for Tolvanen. They're willing to accept right now, and you know what? I'm willing to offer this. Trade value wise, we might be taking a loss in this deal, but we got 3 elite players. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. It's going to be DeBrincat, a 3rd rounder, a 4th rounder, and Sam Reinhart. For Vatanen, a 3rd, a 1st, and Marty Necas. I think we could probably get this deal done. They don't want to accept it. What if you get an absolute steal? There you go. They didn't want to accept it because they didn't want to take on the contracts, but we're still going to get it done even though we're taking a slight loss in the deal. All right, so this is what I'm thinking. Group A hints. We're going to acquire you, and then I'm really hoping I can sign you to a reasonable deal. Nichushkin, you're going to be traded away here. Truthfully, picking up Nichushkin early in this video wasn't the right move because of how late his development happens. Like, right now, he's still a 79 overall, so he's not going to be a stud player for us for another 2-3 years. And honestly, we just need to win right now, so we're going to do this deal right here. It's a little bit low. What else could you possibly want? Like, I don't know if there's anyone else we can really trade away here. I mean, I guess there is. I could throw Barbashev in the deal, and honestly, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So we'll trade Barbashev away here to bring in Rupe Hintz, and then Rupe Hintz, you better re-sign with the team. And I need it to be an elite deal. 3.4 million is not too bad. We have to do a 5-year deal. This isn't terrible. This isn't great by any means, but 3.7 for the next 5, we can make it work. All right, so the bottom 6 might not be looking as strong here, but you know what? We have a lot of great talent here that's going to develop over the next couple of years. Defensively, that's basically set in stone for the future. Roman Josi, John Carlson, Quinn Hughes, you actually might not be sticking around, barring what the salary cap situation for this team is. And then when it comes to goaltending, Freddie Anderson, you're going to get paid eventually. So is Grubauer. I mean, Grubauer we're actually going to be trading away probably in the next game, because after that he gets claimed in the expansion draft by the Seattle Kraken, and then bro completely falls off. So we got one more season with Grubauer, but yeah, the salary cap situation on this team is definitely not going to be easy for the future. All right, I think it's time for us to smarten up here. Like, what are we doing? What kind of a team am I building? The Washington Capitals, 11th in the entire league. We don't need to look at stats. We still will, but we don't need to look at them. This season was a disappointment, but you know what? I gotta take the blame for that. I didn't build a good team here. We don't have enough elite talent. This team's just not ready to win right now. This season is not a year we're gonna win. If we lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs, we are trading half of this team in the next game. No, but in all seriousness, I think we actually have to decide on 6 forwards and 4 defensemen. We're about to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. No, ain't no way. But as I was about to say, I think we have to decide on 6 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 1 starting goaltender. After we decide on that, we just build the rest of the team around those guys. We're going to be winning this one right here. Devon Toews really showed up in this one, and he's one guy I didn't plan on bringing back to the team, so that's a great sign. Like, we can't pay everyone on the bottom 6 $2 and $3 million. If we did that, we wouldn't be able to afford to keep everybody around. And that's basically the situation we're running into right now. We just don't have enough money for everybody. We've won back-to-back games. Let's make it 3 straight, and we'll make the 3-1 series come back. So it all comes down to this one final game. We got to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs here. We're down 2-0. Do not get shut out here. John Carlson and Ovi, the original pieces, tried to make the comeback, but Aberg is going to beat us. I have no clue who this man is, but he just eliminated us in Game 7. We just lost to somebody who I just learned about. That's tough. Alright, I think we've seen enough here. Let's move on to NHL 21. Alright, hold on. Wait a minute. The salary cap just went up, so we have a bit of money to work with, and for some reason, Devon Toews dropped by 2 overalls, so we are going to keep him around. We'll do 2.2 for the next 5. Devon Toews, welcome back. Also, we had to wait on Forsling, but Forsling's going to come back to the team as well, and it's going to be $1 million for the next 5. So you know what? Everything happens for a reason, and it worked out for us. Alright, so we had another disappointing loss in the postseason, but you know what? Things are going to turn around for this team. The lowest overall is Chandler Stevenson, 80 overall, so I think we're in a pretty solid spot here. Defensive-wise, Roman Josi, John Carlson, Quinn Hughes, that can definitely lead the way for us. Devon Toews is even on the team. We virtually have 0 weaknesses here. However, Freddie Anderson's contract is expiring, Grubauer's contract's expiring. We got to capitalize on both of these guys right here. I mean, Freddie's is expiring. Grubauer technically has 2 more years left after this season. However, he's about to get selected by Seattle in the expansion draft, and his overall is going to completely fall off a cliff. So yeah, we got to capitalize on that. So when it comes to extensions, of course, Alexander Ovechkin needs to come back to this team. We got to do a 4-year deal. However, this is going to be very expensive for us. We're looking at $10 million for the next 4. Ovi, as much as I want to bring you back to the team, we might be walking away from you unless you accept this deal right here. Quinn Hughes, where are you going to be looking for? We can certainly do something like this. $5 million for the next 4 years. That's a very reasonable deal. Now, with those 2 deals right there, we would be a little bit over the salary cap. However, we can make some moves to free up some money. We also should look at guys like Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas, because we might be able to re-sign them fairly cheap, but I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to afford them. Like $3.5 million to play on the bottom 6, we just don't have that spare money. Alright, so when it comes to bringing in a new goaltender, honestly, it didn't really take too much consideration. Thatcher Demco, welcome to the team. We're getting Thatcher Demco and a 2nd rounder. They're actually saying no to that package. I'll give you a 3rd round pick, and that will make the difference. So Thatcher Demco's our starting goaltender. Yeah, we're set in between the pipes. Alright, now this is a high risk, high reward move. Bo Horvat and a 2nd round pick over to the Minnesota Wild for Kirill Kaprizov. Now Kaprizov, I'm really hoping we can sign to a reasonable contract. They're saying no to that deal. We can do 2 2nd round picks. 2 2nd round picks for Kirill Kaprizov, definitely worth it. Alright, so here's the plan for the future. We're going to be running a tandem of Jeremy Swayman and Thatcher Demco. Jeremy Swayman, right now you're only a 75 overall, but I think that's good enough to be our backup. Freddie Anderson, I'm going to send you over to Boston. We're getting Swayman and Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall, you're going to end up getting flipped here. Maybe we won't get Taylor Hall. Truthfully, I just want somebody with a little bit of value that we could flip here. Even if it's like David Krejci, if we could somehow take on that deal, I'm willing to trade David Krejci away. If you're going to be saying no to that, I'll take somebody with a little less value. So Vakananen, can I get you in this deal? It looks like I will be able to, and then we're going to flip you somewhere else. Alright, so William Nylander, I thought you were going to be a part of this team's future, but with the way things have been happening, I don't think so anymore. So you're going to be traded over to the Florida Panthers. We're bringing in Verhaeghe. We're going to bring in Sam Bennett as well as a 3rd round pick. This deal is just to free up money. We need to have a bit more money here when it comes to cap space. Now, Sam Bennett, we're going to keep you around. Of course, it's got to be a 4-year extension. We'll do 2.2 for the next 4 years, and then you'll hold down the 4th line for the rest of this video. So ideally, in the future, this is what the team looks like. It's going to be Leon Draisaitl, Alexander Ovechkin, Dave Pastrnak, Kirill Kaprizov, Murray Necas, Matthew Tkachuk on the 2nd line. Verhaeghe will be able to keep around for pretty cheap. Rupe Hintz is going to be pretty cheap. Tom Wilson's really cheap here. Bertuzzi is going to be really cheap. We're going to lose Robert Thompson. We're going to lose Jordan Kyrou. However, Sam Bennett and Chandler Stevenson will jump into the lineup next season. Same with Evan Bouchard. Defensively, that's looking the exact same here as long as we keep everybody around. And goaltending, that was the big difference maker. Thatcher Demco and Jeremy Swayman, you're the future for this team. Alright, so Kirill Kaprizov, if I offer you $6.5 million for the next 3 years, more than likely you accept that. However, if I did $6.9 million for the next 4 years, then you would be sticking around for the rest of the rebuild. However, we don't have that much money. So I guess the real question is, do we make a trade here? Like, it's currently January 1st. We could trade somebody away to free up that little bit of extra money. And you know what? We might as well do that. Tom Wilson, I would certainly be be willing to trade you away. Alright, now this deal at face value, we're getting absolutely finessed. But we really aren't. Tom Wilson over to the Devils, we get Sharon Govich. Could have I gotten some other pieces in this deal? Absolutely, but this is the simplest way to do it. So after making that deal, we're going to have enough money for Kirill Kaprizov here. We're going to do 4 years at $6.9 million. I actually might just do 4 years at $7 million to keep it simple. So after making this deal, we have $1 million left. Sharon Govich, we should be able to keep you around for $1 million. So I'll lock you down for the next 4 years after this one for $800K. And in just a few seasons, you're going to be a good bottom six piece for us for only $800K. So Washington's going to be doing a bit better this season, 6th in the entire league, but a 45, 25, and 12 record, not giving me a lot of hope here. I feel like we have enough scorers on this team. Maybe we should have some playmakers, but you know what? I believe in the potential of these guys. A lot of these guys are elite players. Almost every player on this team is an elite player. Thatcher Demco, Jeremy Swayman, you guys held it down. Jeremy Swayman, you're only a 76 overall. We had a 14-3-1 record, a 907 and a 265. So considering both of these guys are going to become top goaltenders in the league in just a few years, we'll be all right. Now, whether or not we can actually see some success in the postseason, that's a different question. We had the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round. So we've had 2 straight first round exits. That's not going to happen again here. We're going to take down the Philadelphia Flyers and we're going to move on to the second round. We are 1 game away from the second round, but of course we're probably going to blow a 3-1 series lead, aren't we? Why am I not surprised? We are not doing this again. We are not blowing another 3-1 series lead. We blow 3-1 series leads after 3-1 series leads, and it's getting ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous. See you in NHL 22 or 23. I don't even know which NHL game we're going to. I think it's NHL 22. I really don't care though, because this team's full of frauds. Okay, so looking at this team, you would think we have 0 weaknesses here. However, there is one main problem. Marty Necas is our only playmaker. Everyone else is basically snipers and power forwards. We have 0 playmakers on this team. However, if you can outscore your problems, then who really cares? We are fantastic in between the pipes. We have great defense, great scoring. We just need some playmakers. And you know what? We might try to address that problem. I mean, I guess the first thing we should do is see how much Marty Necas is looking for. He is one of the lone playmakers. He wants $7.7 million. We have $2 million. So yeah, that probably won't happen. Carver Hagee, you want $5 million? That probably won't happen either. So yeah, let's make some trades here, because we gotta do that. Alright, so let's try to free up some money here. Nichushkin, I'm gonna send you back over to the Dallas Stars. We're getting Wyatt Johnston, and we're gonna get Thomas Harley in this deal. They're saying no, but I know we have a couple draft picks we could use. Like, I'll throw in the second round from the Washington Capitals, and that should be enough. I'm actually very surprised they're saying no to that. Do you want a third rounder as well? A second and third should make the difference. Fine, I'll give you my first round pick. Do you want this first rounder so bad? You can have it. Alright, so we're going to be losing Marty Necas here. We're not going to be able to re-sign him. However, we could afford Lucas Raymond. $1 million for the next 3 years. Don't mind if I do. So it's going to be Marty Necas, a second and third rounder, and that should be more than enough for Lucas Raymond. Alright, so Dmitry Orlov, Carver Hagee. I'm going to ship both of you guys over to Tampa. We're going to bring in Brandon Hagel, and we're also going to bring in Nick Paul. Hagel's under contract for the next 3 years. Nick Paul's under contract for only 1. However, we should be able to re-sign for pretty cheap. Did we get finessed in that deal? Absolutely. But I didn't want to go through the effort of doing multiple trades. Alright, so Nick Paul, I would like to keep you around at a cheap price, and you know what? We're going to be able to do that. It's going to be 1.7 for the next 3. So Nick Paul, welcome back to the team. Now, you can't convince me there's a better team than the Washington Capitals. We have rebuilt this team and brought in superstar after superstar. There are 0 weaknesses on this team whatsoever. The defense is impeccable. The goaltending is amazing. 0 weaknesses whatsoever. There is nobody beating us, except whatever team we face in the first round, because they'll beat us, because why wouldn't they? Now, this is what I'm expecting season in and season out from the Washington Capitals. First in the entire league, a 59, 16, and 7 record. We have the best offense and the best defense in the entire game right now. There's no one that can really compete with us. Pasta's leading the way with 82 points, and it's going to be Draisaitl, Ovechkin, Matthew Tkachuk, Kirill Kaprizov, John Carlson, Roman Josi. We are unstoppable from top to bottom. Demko was elite this season. Jeremy Swayman was even better. There is no reason the Islanders should beat us in the first round. We are not losing to the New York Islanders. Like, I don't know how many first round losses it would be in a row, but it's not happening. We're sweeping the Islanders. So we swept the Islanders. We're looking to sweep the Carolina Hurricanes. 16-0 for the Washington Capitals. I think it's very possible. Like, I don't see why this team can't go 16-0. We're perfect here. We finally lost a game. We're going to be losing game number 3, and we're losing game number 5 as well. Do not drop game 6. We're winning game 6, and we're off to the conference finals. You know what? How about we just keep building on this momentum? The Washington Capitals are 8-2 at this point. We're going to take down the Boston Bruins. Just kidding. No, we are not. All right, Boston, y'all better not beat us. We are okay. Nope, this one's over. All right, let's move on. We really lost to the Boston Bruins. Well, we had dreams of a Stanley Cup, but at least we made it to the conference finals. I mean, we lost in 5 games and Colorado won the Stanley Cup, but at least we made it out of the first round. That is a little bit of success, but considering how good this team is, we shouldn't have lost. There is no reason we should have lost. This team was perfect from top to bottom, yet when the lights were the brightest, we couldn't show up. We have 3 games left. 3 games left to win another Stanley Cup. It's been a long time since we won one, and I don't see why we can't win anymore. And I don't see why we can't three-peat to finish off this video. We have the talent here. It just doesn't show up half the time. Now we're going to do something unheard of on the Stick on the Ice channel. Normally I do rebuilds or any videos like this. I always like to run the exact same team for the final 2 seasons. Today we're going to be upping that. The same team for the final 3 years. For the final 3 games, NHL 23, NHL 24, and NHL 25, we're going to have the exact same team. And with the team we have, we're going to try to three-peat. Now, is that going to be possible? I have no clue, but we're about to find out. I mean, we're basically guaranteed to win in NHL 25 because we have Thatcher Demco in between the pipes, so we don't have to worry about NHL 25. All we really have to worry about is NHL 23 and NHL 24. Now, with that being said, we have to make sure that all the players we're keeping around have 3 years left under contract. Right now, 90% of our team has 3 years left under contract because I planned that. I have been calculating how many years are left in the rebuild. That's why you see so many players with either 3 or 4 years left under contract. However, there are a couple players. Lucas Raymond, he only has 2 years. I know for a fact Matthew Tkachuk only has 2 years. Hagel only has 2 years. And Evan Bouchard only has 1. So with that being said, we got to make some trades here. And one of those trades is also going to have to include Jeremy Swayman. Now, although Evan Bouchard is a great defenseman, we're just not going to be able to afford to keep him on this team. And what we really need is somebody for the bottom 6 like Mason McTavish and a good backup goaltender in Stolarz who we can be able to re-sign for cheap. Jeremy Swayman, we're just not going to be able to afford you. That's basically the problem with Bouchard. We're just bringing in a couple guys that we know we're going to be able to keep around. And the fact that this package isn't enough and they want a draft pick is beyond ridiculous. You really need a 4th round pick in order to accept this. No, Anaheim's wildin'. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. We're going to move Matthew Tkachuk, but we're going to pick up a bunch of incredible players. Luke Hughes, Nemec, Holtz, a second, and Timo Meier. Now, when it comes to making more trades, this is just going to make it significantly easier for us because we're going to be trading smaller contracts away. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the Islanders and we're going to pick up Noah Dobson for the next 3 years. So Noah Dobson is going to be the defenseman we bring to the team here, and we're probably going to be trading Nemec. Actually, we're going to make that Luke Hughes away. So what we're going to do in the Islanders deal, it's going to be Luke Hughes and Timo Meier over to the Islanders. We get Noah Dobson, a 2nd, and a 4th rounder. They're saying no because they wouldn't have enough money to re-sign free agents. I don't really care. I'll take a loss in this deal. So for the next 3 years, our defensive core is set. Our defensive core is going to be Roman Josi, Quinn Hughes, John Carlson, Devon Taves, Noah Dobson, Forsling. That's certainly a defensive core I can live with. Alright, if we actually have enough money to do this, then we're going to do it. Hagel and Lucas Raymond over to the Edmonton Oilers for Zach Hyman. If we make this deal, is everyone under contract and then everyone has enough money? So we'll have enough forwards, we're going to have enough defensemen here, and then when it comes to goaltending, the only guy we're going to have to re-sign is Stolarz, but worst case scenario, if we don't have enough money for Stolarz, then we'll just pick up a different goaltender. So yeah, Edmonton's going to be accepting that deal. We're about ready to go. The only thing that we have to do is give Stolarz an extension. I want to do it for 2 seasons, and we're going to be able to do that. It's going to be $1 million for the next 2 years. Stolarz is coming back to the team. We're set now. So this is what the team's looking like. Leon Draisaitl, David Pastrnak, Kirill Kaprizov, Alexander Ovechkin, Tage Thompson, Rupe Hintz. I don't think we have a single playmaker on this team, and that could be the death of this team. The fact that we have no playmakers is going to hurt us. Rasmus Sedin, you're actually not in the lineup here. We're picking up one of the healthy scratches. Martin Ferrivari, you're not supposed to be in the lineup either. Okay, is one of our defensemen in the AHL? Yes, they are. Forsling's in the AHL, so I'm going to go ahead and call up Forsling. He's going to be our last defenseman here, and then when it comes to goaltending, you already know what that's looking like. Thatcher Demco, Stolarz. We're going to be elite in NHL 25. I guess the more I think about it, technically we do have one playmaker on the team, Wyatt Johnston. The only thing is he's going to be in the AHL for this season, but once we get to NHL 25, I do believe he will be jumping into the lineup. So you know what? Enough yapping here. The boys are set for the next 3 games. Let's go ahead and dominate. Alright, I'm sorry, but ain't no way this team is 6th in the entire league. I know we don't have playmakers here, but we have scorers, and scorers score. They find a way to score the puck. And apparently we couldn't do that here. Even with the ridiculous amount of talent we have, the lack of playmakers is hurting us. Thatcher Demco, these aren't NHL 25 numbers. These are certainly NHL 23 numbers. That doesn't matter. We're going to win the Stanley Cup this season. I believe in the team. When the lights are the brightest, we have the players we need. We are going to win. And we better win because we're rocking the same team for 3 straight years. This is year number 1 of those 3 years. So if we can't win in year number 1, why do we win in year 3? Ain't no way this is happening again. I don't know how many times this has happened, but it's happened far too many times. We each picked up a goal in the first period. We each picked up 2 goals in the second period. We're each going to pick up 3 goals in this period. Wow, I was actually pretty close. Well, I mean, not really. We scored 4 goals and they only scored 1. But yeah, there was more scoring in the third period. Who has seen that coming? But we still have to win 2 more games, because we're down 3-1. I don't know what it is about the Washington Capitals, and I don't know what it is about when I do videos like this, but for some reason, it just never works out. We need to show up in overtime, we need to score that final goal, and we're not scoring the final goal. Jacob Slavin's going to end us here. No, this is beyond ridiculous. No, at this point, you would think we're the Toronto Maple Leafs for the amount of times we've lost in the first round, and we are certainly not the Toronto Maple Leafs, but yet that team has seen more success than us. And that just doesn't make sense. I swear if they win a Stanley Cup while I'm talking, I might lose my mind. If I see this team in the Stanley Cup final, it was the Vancouver Canucks, without Thatcher Demco. No, that isn't right. I took Thatcher Demco away, and they still won a Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, Thatcher Demco for me, a goals against above 3. Let's move on to NHL 24. Now I can confidently say we have a really good team here. Like, there is no weaknesses other than the fact that we don't have any playmakers, other than Wyatt Johnston on the 4th line. But you know what? Even though there's a massive lack of playmakers on this team, we're going to find a way to make it work because of all the amazing talent. We have so much great talent here that should make up for the fact that we have no playmakers. We'll just outscore our problems, and we're going to outscore our problems by not passing the puck at all. Alright, so we got to change things up here, and you know what that means. No face cam, we simulate the entire postseason. That always turns things around. For some reason, whenever I do this, there's a 95% chance the team wins the Stanley Cup. So that better happen here. We have the goal scoring, we sort of have the goaltending. We're talking about Thatcher Demco, but we have to remember, this is NHL 24 Thatcher Demco, not NHL 25 Thatcher Demco. NHL 25 Thatcher Demco is just a different beast. We're taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. We simulate the entire postseason and just watch what happens. Like, I can confidently say we win a Stanley Cup here just because of how often this works. We sit back and we watch this team win 9 goals in game number 1. That's a statement right there. We have a 3-1 series lead. We're off to the second round. We're off to the second round, take on the Carolina Hurricanes. We might be dropping game number 1. We've won back-to-back games, make it 4 straight games, conference finals just like that. This is how confident I am with the Washington Capitals. I just simulate games that I know this team's going to win. We have the Vancouver Canucks up next. I'm not losing to Vancouver without Thatcher Demco. We split the series 2 games apiece. We got to simulate the rest of the postseason. We're winning game 5, we're winning game 6, and just like that, we're Stanley Cup champions. I told you, this is the play. I knew this was the play. I should have just done this from the very beginning. You know what? We're not even turning on the face cam for the final season. The Washington Capitals are Stanley Cup champions. The face cam is off for the rest of this video. I've already turned the camera off. It's turned off. We're not even dealing with it anymore. Quinn Hughes 24 points, Pasta 21, Kaprizov 18, OV 17, Rupe Hintz 17. The team was full of superstars, and this superstar right here led the way for us. Thatcher Demco, 16 wins, 2 shouts, a 917 to 251. With the amount of great talent on this team, in NHL 25, Thatcher Demco in between the pipes, there's no way we don't go back to back. So this team is perfect when the face cam is off, so that's the way it's going to stay. The Washington Capitals are looking absolutely elite here. There is no weaknesses whatsoever. Even when it comes to goaltending, we have NHL 25 Thatcher Demco. There is no way we're not going 82-0. So it all comes down to this. One final run with the boys, a 57-19-6 record. We're the best offensive team and the best defensive team, and the offensive player leading the way is going to be Kirill Kaprizov. 109 points, 42 goals, 67 helpers. Passes picking up 49. Look at the great goal scoring we had here. That's exactly what happens when you only bring goal scorers to the team. When it comes to goaltending, NHL 25 Thatcher Demco is all that has to be said. We have the Ottawa Senators in the first round, but the first round doesn't matter because we're simulating the entire postseason. We know how it works. We simulate the entire postseason, and because we simulate the entire postseason, we're going to win the Stanley Cup. We are going to go 2 for 2 with this method, and it's going to make absolutely no sense, but you know what? It's just the way she goes here. We're going to build on the momentum this team has. They're coming off a Stanley Cup, and they're looking to win a couple more. We have a 3-1 series lead, taking down the Ottawa Senators in 5 games. We're moving on to the second round. Now, I know the simulation speed is a lot slower in NHL 25, but just through playing all the games, it is very noticeable now. Like, this is significantly slower than even NHL 24 and NHL 23. Like, it's kind of funny. As the years have gone on, the simulation has gotten way slower. We did not just get swept. We are not ending the video like that. We are not ending the video getting swept to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That really just happened. The Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup champions, but we just got swept by the Toronto Maple Leafs. They swept us. The Toronto Maple Leafs swept us in the conference finals. That team made it to the Stanley Cup final. NHL 25 Thatcher Demco was not him. We did not get NHL 25 Thatcher Demco. If that doesn't sum up this video, I don't know what does. This Washington Capitals team should have easily won 5 or 6 Stanley Cups, maybe more than that, because we were a dominant force throughout the entirety of this video. Yet when it mattered most, this team loved to fall in the first round. Like, they were very consistent at losing in the first round. I don't know why that was the case, but it was. The Washington Capitals were frauds, and you just hate to see it.